Turn it all into either Star Wars or Warhammer 40k, and you'll get through to him. Just come up with a way to make it sound like he's fighting in a space war.
I don't deny
He is going to get bullied off the program. No, he is. Hutch is going to leave within the next couple of months. I 100% believe that. 100% I believe that. Dude, I can't believe this. What is happening, man? What are we doing? What are we doing, dude? Yeah, like, what are we even saying? He's aftercare from the debate. This is the only defense anyone can mount of Hutch. Oh, Pisco is unchained. Pisco is completely unchained. Okay, so we have a Pisco versus Counterpoints debate here. It's the latest episode in the current arc of everyone trying to convince, well, not everyone, a bunch of foot soldiers trying to convince Pisco that actually you spend all your time crying about Hassan. All day, every day should be Hassan hate day. You should just talk about how Hassan bad, Carl Kalinske bad, lefties bad. All day, every day. And that's actually the best way to fight Trump, is by crying about Hassan all day, every day. So people try to convince Pisco of this. Counterpoints is, I think, the latest contender. And I get mentioned in this debate. I've seen a clip already. Counterpoints launches a disgusting, anti-Semitic, frankly, attack against me. Very, very interesting that people seem to not care about this liberal anti-Semitism that's going on here. Very strange we don't care about that. We're going to take a look. We're going to see how the debate goes. I think there's some callers afterwards. We might take a look at those. I'm not sure. I think this is quite long anyway, so we'll probably just stick with this. So let's take a look.
I haven't gotten into it enough. Weirdly enough, he's sufficiently charismatic that if Hunter Biden was like, hey, Connor, let's go get a beer, I'd probably go get a beer. Now, as far as
he's in recovery,
Connor,
he's in recovery.
Where do I go?
Oh, what a loser. So, anyway, but as far as like I caught some, I'm very early in the stream, but I caught some self-sweeping. I feel like there was some self-sweeping in there.
I think that it's a little...
Yeah, they're snarking on me. This Connor guy is snarking on me on this debate, I gotta say. He's doing some snark on me. It's not good. This guy should be dealt with, frankly.
Unhinged to think that Joe Biden should have been the nominee in 2024. And I think that part of what Hunter Biden is doing right now is a kind of counterattack at what he feels are a bunch of Democrats who betrayed him, when, in my opinion, it's kind of Joe Biden who betrayed the Democrats initially by not even making a decision, really just like floating into this re-election campaign without stopping to even ask the question, is this a good idea? And so I just don't like that. I think that they're implying this entire time Joe Biden could have beat Trump. And I think that if Joe Biden was on that ticket, it was going to be an incredibly horrible landslide victory for Trump that would have put us back even further than we are right now.
I think that's facts.
I think that I heard you guys talk about this because I think I pre-watched some of the content, and you guys effectively said that there was polling post-debate, pre-election that effectively showed that this was going to be a down-ballot disaster.
Yeah.
Where effectively, like, Kamala, like, people feel bad because the late-minute switch-out might have cost Kamala the election, but realistically, the damage was minimized.
Yeah.
So I think that's a compelling narrative.
Yeah, and the second part is I've been arguing...
I'm pretty sure I saw someone arguing in Pisco's replies the other day that Biden would have done a better job. It's like it's completely absurd to think that Biden would have done better in that election. After that debate performance, no.
Against some leftoids, not really leftoids, more blue mag.
You can't be the president and just go out in public looking completely, totally mentally disabled and then hide for the rest of the campaign and then think there's any chance of winning. Crazy.
Who say that I'm insufficiently loyal to Biden because I condemn as corrupt the pardoning of Hunter Biden, which I have and I did ever since those pardons were issued. And even though I have argued strongly against you, the notion that Joe Biden was in on this stuff, was in some sort of very intricate way, that doesn't mean that you're allowed to respond with political pardons, what I take to be corrupt pardons, on the basis of personal familial allegiance. And so I really appreciate what you were just saying there about Liberty Mutual. I think it's the wrong incentive. It's the wrong thing to do. And yeah, like it's not just also the gun thing. People conflate it with just the gun thing. Like, oh, but the gun thing was just like it was never done before. Even putting aside if that's true, and it might be true. I don't think that novelty by itself is enough to pardon someone. Like every crime needs to be applied for the first time in one way. So like, I mean, Trump arguably with the New York case, even though I felt he was very guilty and the evidence showed that, there was like a novel application of one of the predicate offenses to condemn him on that basis. And then also beyond just the gun charge, there's the tax fraud. And everyone seems to put aside the fact that it's not just he didn't report his taxes, he lied about his income when he knew he was making in millions from Burisma. And he lied about it. So even though you and I have fought about like what's Joe Biden's involvement there, I have never ever said that like Hunter Biden is innocent or that Hunter Biden should be pardoned just because he's the son of the president.
Well, yeah, and I think I got pissed at you in the past because I think that some people, my chat mainly, because they're fucking brilliant and have 3,000 IQ, although they piss me the fuck off all the time. I think some people pay attention to the words that are being said and they create conceptions within their mind of what's actually being said and they understand it and they fight it out logically. I think a lot of people only respond emotionally where they can kind of feel like, oh, this person's more on my side. Therefore, you know, I'm going to cheer them on.
Yeah.
And so substantively, I feel like with you and me, part of the emotion of the fight that we had previously about Hunter is I felt like that you were minimizing. Still feel that way a little bit. But I could understand the logical conceptions that you were making. And there are people in my chat who effectively followed your emotional argument, but did not follow your logical argument. And so they're arguing with me right now.
Rage baiting with the
Hunter
fit
Biden
today.
did nothing wrong. He's kissed babies for 20 years. He's God's gift to America and corporations. He's amazing. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And no offense, I think it's partially your and Steven's fault.
It's me and Steven's fault?
Well, not because of the logic. The logical articulations you guys have made are logical. The emotional argumentation is that Hunter Biden is a saint and nobody should give a fuck about it.
That's what I take to kind of be like Steven's point of view, which is like the pardons are
I don't know if that's literally his point of view, though. I feel like that's emotionally his point of view.
He's like, anyone soying out about the pardons is a piece of shit or like shouldn't be soying out about them. By the way, I don't soy out about him that much. It just, they're constantly brought up to me to be like, listen, you're beyond the pale. You're just trying to hurt Democrats. Don't you know by attacking Biden, by attacking, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that Hutch's perspective, which I heard, and your perspective are actually not contradictory, okay? Mm-hmm. You can believe that it's a bad look for Democrats and it's also corruption or soft corruption or whatever to pardon your son for any and all crimes for the past decade, and effectively you said you weren't going to do it, so that feels like a betrayal to your voting base.
Yep.
That's a true statement. Now, what Hutch said, which I agree with, which is that people are human. They have some level of familial loyalty. And so as a result, you can expect a father.
No, the thing I was going to leak yesterday was fake.
Lost his daughter, lost his wife, lost his eldest son, and is on the verge of losing his...
Shit. Fuck. Fuck. I just fucked my trackpad. Fuck.
World to cut defense.
So effectively what I hear
his income when he knew he was
that if Hunter Biden was like, hey Connor, let's go get a beer. That obviously about Hunter is I felt like that you were minimizing.
It in the sense of like, could I predict it? Maybe you can predict it. Maybe
it's gotta be here somewhere, right?
Like, reasonable to anticipate that a father might do that.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Whether it's the right thing to do. And
well, I liked what you said, even if I didn't agree with it. Where you
trackpad in the year of our Lord 2025. Listen, you clearly do not understand the utility of a trackpad. Okay, trackpads are great. You can do this without, you know how when you scroll, you use control, and then you scroll to do the zoom. It just zooms in the page and makes the elements bigger. Trackpad, you were like, yes, you just zoom in. Awesome.
But as a public servant, you must put the public interest ahead of yourself. And I was like, fucking Patriot Pisco, fucking Patriot Pisco, the public servant.
Bro, love is the death of duty, man. I mean, they're right about that. Like, you swore an oath.
That sounds like a Warhammer saying.
That's a Game of Thrones. That's why they take the oaths in the wall, right? To not have any children is because love is the death of duty. And ultimately, like, a lot of tragedies bear that out. That when even Anakin Skywalker, why did he turn away? He was afraid to lose the thing he loved. But when you swear an oath, when you have a higher calling, a higher allegiance, yeah, it might be understandable.
Dude, Pisco knows how to talk to Connor. Okay, turn it all into Star Wars or Warhammer. Turn it all into either Star Wars or Warhammer 40k, and you'll get through to him. Just come up with a way to make it sound like he's fighting in a space war. And he'll be on your side, okay? Convince Connor that he's like part of the Imperium or the Empire or something, and he'll join your side, okay? That's all you have to do. You just have to make an emotional argument that relies on like pure goy slop, Be like, Connor, you're like them. Connor, it's like them. And that's it. He's with you. He's with you all the way.
Come up short, but I think you need to strive towards it, and especially when he gave his word as a Biden, right? And that's their common phrase. And I give you my word as a Biden for what that's worth.
Yeah. Now that word's worth dog shit.
Yeah.
And the I would like to jump into the fiction real quick.
Yeah.
So with the Star Wars references, what's interesting about watching that, I'm actually doing a breakdown channel about Star Wars now.
Oh,
Well, you know,
What's interesting about that is watching how the Jedi failed in their own institutional principles leading up to Anakin existing as like the messianic figure who they knew was fucked up, but they were kind of like praying that he was not fucked up enough to destroy the whole galaxy, but they always knew that there was this potential. And so that's the thing. It's like there's people in my chat who are like, oh, well, human's gonna human. You know, they basically take like a Brittany Simon approach to things. But it's like, no, dude, you have to reinforce ideals. Like that's the point of ideals. Human beings fail in ideals all the time, but if you don't reinforce them, then we don't have any.
yeah, and that's why I think one of the
and that's what I learned from the
things that
prequels.
Biden did that was most honorable is he started his administration appointing Merrick Garland to the
It's
Department
like a
of Justice
40-year-old man.
to bring back independence to the Department of Justice. And yet, as it went on, as we're getting reporting, Joe Biden grew increasingly frustrated that Merrick Garland wasn't like choosing to call off the indictment of his son because it's his son.
Undermine
And
President Trump and
I
his
think that's
presidency.
very. I'm
Well,
sorry.
hold on. What is that reporting though? Because I insinuated
Jake
this
Tapper.
without evidence, and then people were like, "You're fucking crazy."
Wait, no,
and then,
I never said that. No, there was in real time reporting. I forget from whom, but it was either like Washington Post or Wall Street Journal, someone that Biden was reportedly frustrated with Merrick Garland. That happened during Biden's term, and then Jake Tapper has uncovered more evidence in more interviews that Joe Biden was really angry that Merrick Garland wasn't dropping the suit on his son.
Well, and I feel like I'm describing color to a blind man because like I worked in law enforcement before. I worked in corporate America before. Obviously on small ends, small potatoes. I'm not trying to exaggerate my shit, but I've had conversations with people where I basically told them like, no, you need to be explicit with what you're asking me to do, and then they insisted on being like, well, I can't legally tell you blah 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 blah.
Mm.
It was like
say it.
so they said the legal thing, but they were implying the corrupt thing. And so, that's where for me, like, if you've never been in those rooms, then you might have never felt that. But even with like managers or deputy chiefs or chiefs of police or managers at corporations or corporate managers, they will say the legal thing. That way, if it's being audio recorded or typed out or messages, they can fall back on that from a legalistic perspective, but they will 100% imply, even if it's not illegal, they'll imply the corrupt thing. And so you kind of have to be in those rooms.
Well, thankfully, I don't think that Joe Biden ever expressed those concerns to the Attorney General. And so I'm glad about that. I think that what Biden did he by and large, I think, governed with honor at certain times. Not that said, I think his own human failings started to show that he wasn't up to the task of being the president, especially in the last 2 years where he wasn't having regular meetings with his cabinet, things like that. But in general, one of the things I really respect about Biden is in many respects, he was like everything Trump wasn't. He was bridge building or attempting to be bridge building in a way that Trump was trying to dismantle the bridges. He passed lots of legislation with bipartisan support, meaningful legislation, not just tax cuts for the rich. And
I mean, what
was
okay,
actually trying to do
really?
something for the public.
I mean, I
all the
suppose you could
time
say about
with his
legislation.
NLRB, with his different agencies, different regulations. Like
I think the
I
attitude's
respect
slightly
all that.
wrong.
I think his worst moments are when he was tempted by the Trumpian style. Like there was like some Trumpian, like the who's the Goblin from Spider-Man? Green Goblin. It's like
the mask.
It's like there are moments in Trump's presidency where that blonde fucking hair just like goes and you can see it in the mirror and he has to like fucking just swat it away. But there are very Trumpian moments that are being revealed now with respect to his frustration with the DOJ that they're not protecting him, both in the Hur report. And he was apoplectic about the Hur report, even though he cooperated in the first instance. He was trying to do the right thing, but then that Trumpian little mirror came in and he had to sort of fight that urge. Same thing with Hunter Biden, where he fought that urge, and then gave into it when he actually did the pardon. And then with the border, right? He kept saying, we have to do it the right way. We can't just do executive actions. We need to have a congressional solution. And then when the election was coming up, he did what I thought was against the law, and he shut down the border illegally using executive power and gave into that Trumpian impulse. And I think, or when he tried to hold on to power by not stepping down when it was clear it was over and taking 3 weeks before handing over to Kamala Harris or handing over to the DNC. Those are Trumpian moments that marred an otherwise a presidency that I think was by and large characterized by honor and trying to be everything that Trump wasn't.
Well, and I can understand the frustration. So, for instance, like I'm sure we'll talk about the Vanguard in a moment, but I can understand the frustrations of the far left, and I actually think that there's something real about it, which is effectively that people are so wrapped up in process that they will even ignore things that are immediate and emergencies and all that kind of stuff. But I think that this is how republics die. Okay, part of the reason why I'm pushing back on the left, pushing back on the far left, pushing back on liberals whenever they say, I know we disagree on this, but let's, let's.
Yeah, but no one's saying Pisco's argument is not, oh yeah, Biden or whoever the Democratic president or candidate or whatever is at the time should do things exactly like Trump, should do things as immoral as Trump. That's not Pisco's position. Pisco's position is basically there are lefties and disaffected libs and whatever and social democrats and all these types of people that don't really understand the process, don't really care about the process, but would vote for your candidate. And you shouldn't abandon the process, but you should demonstrate to people that you are stretching the process to its very limits so that they know you're actually fighting for the things they want. That was the whole thing with the $15 minimum wage with the Vanguard, where, yeah, obviously they were kind of wrong in the specifics of it, especially about how the process works. But the point they were making was basically, it doesn't feel like Biden actually tried. Even if he really did, but it doesn't feel like he did. So the only point Pisco has is, yeah, the president, the candidate, has to make it feel like they're trying. It has to be communicated to the voter. But I don't think Pisco at any point is arguing, oh, yeah, they should just drop all process and be like borderline fascist, but in the other direction. I don't think that's what Pisco's saying at all.
Let's pack the courts. Let's do Trump-style politics. Let's use the bully pulpit. Let's do this. Let's do that. The reason why you'll hear me complaining about it is because effectively, like, I feel like we're seesawing as a nation. Like imagine like a boat that is, rocking in the ocean. And so effectively what I hear is like, we're seesawed all the way to the right now. And what I'm hearing people is, oh, we need to seesaw all the way to the left right now. But that's how you capsize the fucking boat. And that's what I'm worried about.
So let's get into the actual discussion from Vanguard, Hutch, all that stuff. So give me your reaction before I because I actually don't know it. I saw that you were reviewing something.
Yeah, I was sitting for Hutch.
Yeah, go for it.
So I think Hutch has a debate kill shot in a couple of places. The main, so the first kill shot that he had, argumentatively, in my opinion, was that you could not bully Manchin.
We agree with that.
Even if you want if you want Democrats to use the bully pulpit more often, it just wasn't pragmatic in this specific circumstance.
They all agree to that.
On that, I just want to say, we agree on the specific Manchin point that he couldn't have gotten Manchin.
This was not what they were arguing. With the Vanguard, yes, the Vanguard were retarded about that. That's not what Pisco and the others were arguing. They weren't arguing like that specific Manchin case was a good idea. They were arguing about the general point, about the general strategy for a president.
To be in favor of like $15 minimum wage or some of these crazy policy goals that the Vanguard is saying. And I just want to make sure that you understand that every one of the Live and Learn co-hosts agrees.
Connor rediscovering the pendulum effect because he doesn't read anything but Warcraft 40k lore.
With Hutch, and we have been consistent on that, like even before when he was arguing with.
I think you guys were, again, emotional versus logical arguments. I think people could kind of vibe on the fact that in general, you guys do wish Democrats were more aggressive, use the bully pulpit more often, stop being pussies,
but not specifically.
Amy Klobuchar as an example.
Amy Klobuchar as an example, or maybe you mean Kirsten Sinema?
Yeah, no, I think you were talking about Klobuchar in reference to redistricting.
I'm not sure about that. I certainly didn't bring that up, but certainly not me. Maybe someone brought it up. I'm not sure, but I
could be bringing up the wrong name, but I think you guys were talking about how Democrats are currently looking at redistricting and gerrymandering districts effectively. That Texas and Florida and other red states have run away with it. There's specifically a Democrat, I forget who refused to redistrict her state, and as a result of her lack of gerrymandering,
Kathy Hochul, governor of New York. Yep.
Excuse me.
Yep.
I'm being racist. I was racist to Middle Eastern and North African women.
Now you're being
today.
sexist.
I confused a Somali with a Palestinian.
White women.
So so now I just confused two white women. So that's good.
say white.
White.
All right, there you go. Because you say all sorts of slurs. You need to start being more aggressive against your white people. All right. So, what is it with white people these days?
They're pissed off.
They're always pissed about something. Anyway, I think that you should have been more aggressive in signaling, not necessarily to get Manchin to adopt some like socialist policy. And let's again put in context, we're not arguing for socialist policies. We're arguing for Biden's own agenda, right? Like his own stated agenda that he ran on. So a lot of people are complaining this like, oh, you wanted him to fight like tooth and nail for some crazy socialist aspiration. That's not what's going on. We're just fighting for Biden's agenda. I don't think that you be more aggressive. And certainly I'm not going to take the maximal, like call your DOJ and stick him on Joe Manchin, like do all this crazy shit. And I'm just saying, I think that is to signal to the base, signal to the people that you give a shit. And I think that is where Biden undoubtedly left some chips on the table where he could have looked like he gave a shit more than he did. That's all we're saying. I think it's a modest point and something that Hutch should really agree to. I think you would agree to it.
Well, I think that I think it's just lost in the noise of the debate because the Vanguard boys are basically saying like this specific tactic, and you guys generally agree that Democrats should stop being wussies. But then that kind of gets mixed as an endorsement for the specific tactic.
No, it doesn't get mixed at all. They repeatedly said, in that specific case, yes, Hutch is correct. That would be a stupid idea. However, they're not saying it's a bad point overall. That's fucking retarded.
Yeah, I think that's
again,
right.
It's the emotional argumentation rather than the
what
logical
we're actually saying
of what's being stated.
Yeah, I totally agree with that assessment, Connor. But that's what frustrates me because then we go out and say it, and we're like, we do agree with Hutch on the micro points that you're not moving Manchin on $15 minimum wage, that you're not really going to be able to. You can't bully Manchin. I even say specifically in the debate, you can't bully Manchin. You can't bully Manchin. I say it in the debate, but it doesn't matter. They'll still maintain that we quote, that we betrayed Hutch. I've seen that so often, and there's massive
That's
threats.
the most entertaining part of the content too, by the way, is when the more, I guess, moderate or centrist liberal is fighting the progressives. That's the content. So people are like, "Oh, Hutch is gonna get bullied off the program," and I'm like, "Dude, this is the best content that they produce because it actually has spice."
No, but listen, I don't deny.
He is going to get bullied off the program. No, he is. Hutch is going to leave within the next couple of months. I 100% believe that. 100% I believe that.
I thought it was a fun thing to do in the moment. But what I see and what like is fucking annoying is these massive threads like they are gaslighting Hutch. Point to me one instance of us gaslighting Hutch, that they are
we'll talk about that in a second.
Doing something doing something improper or like lying to Hutch, or at least I'll speak for myself. I know that Econoboy has recently come out as a socialist, right? I don't want to, and that his identity, he can come out. I am certainly not a communist. I am not a socialist. The way they're trying to paint it is bad faith, gaslighting. They're becoming tankies. They're building bridges with tankies, and that is what I take issue with. And also that like we're betraying Hutch. And there's no substantiation for that point. It's all kind of vibes. But I want to hear your reaction.
I think as long as you guys effectively make, like, you guys should probably talk amongst yourselves. I'm sure you do. If you have a group chat or whatever, basically, I think it just needs to be, we're in a coalition together. We're all pushing for the same direction. We disagree with each other, but when we're on stream, we're just bantering. Like, obviously, we're talking about serious shit. We're talking about policy. We're doing this. We're doing that. But it's
oh no, we don't take. I don't think we take it. Like we're shooting the shit in the chat this entire time. Like we are maintaining healthy, good relationships off stream. It's not so much us and Hutch in that relationship. Where if there was an issue there, we would handle it offline. But we're like totally good behind the scenes. We're texting each other. We're sending memes, all that stuff.
That's always the case, though. Everyone, it's always chill until it's not.
But I'm like the narrative from others. Like not me with Hutch. It's me and other people making these what I take to be false smears. That you are a communist, you're a socialist, you betrayed Hutch, you're gaslighting Hutch.
It's because you're hanging out with Aaron. That's why. It's because you're hanging out with Aaron, and she's obviously.
What does that have to do with anything?
Dude. This guy is actually so mentally raped. This guy is so mentally raped. Holy shit. It's because you're hanging out with Aaron. It's because you're hanging out with Aaron. Aaron's mind controlling you, Pisco. Aaron's mind controlling you. This guy is so mentally raped.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the exterior narrative is that Pisco is becoming more progressive, more lefty. He's doing apologia for far lefties because he's hanging out with Aaron and he's hanging out with the Vanguard boys and he's hanging out with Kyle Kalinske, and they're slowly poisoning his brain and rotting him.
Okay, but one, that is super condescending to me. Like
it is like it totally denies your agency.
Okay, it's kind of. Hopefully, he's not saying he thinks that's the case. Maybe we jumped the gun. Maybe just saying that's what people think. Maybe we'll see. We'll see how close he actually gets to that.
Is to move them. All right, my goal on Crystal and Kyle is to get them to care more about. And first of all, for Crystal and Kyle, I think they do care. I legitimately think they do care. And Crystal has said to me and publicly that also like the liberals were right all along to be worried about rights and these kind of norms. She even says directly, she goes, "I used to laugh about the norm, but now seeing Trump 2.0, like actually the libs were right about the norms." And so I think they've already moved closer to us in some of these respects. And so my whole goal is to, hey, I think Aaron, the reason why I'm doing content with her is because she's funny, because she's fun, and because like it's like back and forth banter. It's a different kind of content than I usually do. Like oftentimes my content is like very dry and it's like just like going over legal stuff, and I think Aaron gives me opportunity to show my personality and have a little bit more fun banter than on my normal streams. And so it's just a very different thing. It's not about me becoming more a communist or anything. And that same kind of guilt by association would apply to you. Like you hung out with Lawrence Southern, and you had a bunch of stuff with Lawrence Southern. You had a bunch of stuff with all different people, right? Brianna Wu, all these other people. That didn't mean that you were like becoming them just because of your association. It's because you think that there's something to be gained.
I caught all kinds of shit for that. And you know,
like you fought against
expectedly it. So. Yeah, expectedly so. So it's not a big deal. The main thing though that I would say though is that it seems like there is a misbalance on the show where Pondering seems to be a facilitator of conversation.
Ponder.
He jumps.
It's just funny.
Josiah.
Yeah, just
Josiah seems to be more of like a facilitator, where once he sees like the conversation break down, he'll.
I don't think that's quite true. I feel like he does give his opinion. I think he's just a facilitator. I think that's true. I mean, let's see what kind of saying anyway. Let's see what the dynamic is like.
In order to get the conversation moving forward again. But he doesn't seem to be like jumping in on Hutch's side and throwing a fucking elbow from the sidelines, which just might not be his personality. But that's where it feels like the show is a little bit unbalanced, because it seems that you and Econo Boy oftentimes see eye to eye, and so you're throwing elbows at Hutch. Hutch is doing a great job, in my opinion, in throwing fucking elbows back. But it feels like a 2.5v1, where Pondering is trying to split the difference. You and Econo Boy are on the same page, and then Hutch is like the lone, you know, he doesn't like being called like a moderate liberal, but he's like the lone moderate liberal, just like throwing fucking punches in every direction. That's what it feels like.
But I don't view it like ideologically, right? This is what I don't understand. It feels that Hutch maybe is more moderate, maybe more centrist on some of the disagreements we're having. But like the disagreements are kind of like about tactically, how does Biden best promote his own agenda, right? That's basically our argument in this specific instance. Isn't about what the agenda should be, right? We're all kind of agree. We're behind the Biden agenda. At least with respect
I want to talk about AOC, and the Vanguard is proximately more allies than Rob Noor line of argumentation.
Oh, really? You want to go there?
Dude, what? Dude, what? That's literally just how can you possibly argue otherwise? The Vanguard, some like fucking, I don't know quite what they are, but like, you know, commie leaning, you know, sock them types. Like, people who call themselves communists or whatever, or anything close to that, I don't even necessarily believe it half the time. I feel like most of them, it is basically just a reaction to feeling like the system's fucked, and they probably wouldn't feel like communists if they were, you know, had their basics accounted for. You know. I don't think I don't think most people are actually communists, to be honest. But hey, what are you gonna do? I just don't take it very seriously. American commies are much different from others around the world. I mean, that's probably true. Half American lefties are just libs plus Medicare for all. Maybe. Anyway, yeah, what was Connor saying here?
Okay, yeah, let's go.
No, but I think I can demonstrate to you. I literally made a drawing. I could show you the breakdown. But if you have something else to share on that point, share.
Well, I just want to say,
I just wanted to say that I wanted to do that at some point.
I think if you actually are objective and looking at the points of disagreements, they're not like, which should we have Medicare for all or not Medicare for all? Should we be in favor of stopping all funds to Israel, or should we be in favor of, you know, maybe just doing a tiered approach, or we're taking away certain kinds of funds, or maybe we're having, maybe it's a full relationship. Like, those aren't the disagreements that how do we best promote Biden's agenda? How do we best promote Democrats? And none of that is like an ideological battle. It's kind of like a strategic, tactical battle. And so to put it in terms of moderate versus not moderate, you're muted, by the way, if you want to say that. Moderate versus not moderate.
I was going to say I disagree.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, well, actually, if you'll indulge me, I'll share this with you.
Yeah.
Because I actually think that we are at mildly opposed tactical and strategic.
Dude, I can't believe this. What is happening, man? What are we doing? What are we doing, dude? Connor just shows up with the absolute dog shit MS Paint fucking chicken scratch drawing, just like, yeah, here's the progressives, and dude, okay, all right, man, okay, dude.
Goals, and I think I'm actually aligned with Hutch more than I am with you. But if you look at my beautiful drawing, I'm gonna make it big on my screen.
Yeah, make it big.
Effectively, what's that?
I just made it big as well.
Okay, so the L in the top left, R in the top right is obviously left and right. This is the political spectrum. FL is far left. Prog is progressive. Lib is lib. Lib on the right is libertarian, moderates, and neoconservative. Then I put contrarians. Then I put MAGA in the big box.
If you please look at the graph. If you please draw your attention to the graph.
Is actually the coalition that I want to build.
Okay.
I want to
please draw your attention to Figure 1. Okay.
Sensible progressives, sensible liberals, libertarians, moderates, neoconservatives, and some of the contrarians that we can win back. And I want to say that MAGA is effectively rat poison that's killing the country. And this is the coalition that I want to build. However, if the Vanguard are Marxist-Leninists, or if Hassan Piker or Ogre Boy or Vosh or whatever are far leftists, then they're not part of my coalition. And I would actually, ideally, I would like to excise them even if I can't. Right?
Yeah.
And so when Josiah, I'm pointing it out on my map, when he says, oh, I'm more proximate to the Vanguard boys, who I put in the far left thing, he's technically right that Rob Noor is further away. However, you know, me as like, call me a neocon, call me a conservatarian, whatever, I'm closer to him, ideally, than he is to the Vanguard boys. So the argument from Hutch and myself is that if you pander or play footsie with the far left, you're losing the center-right people that you could attract.
I hear what you're saying. Let me respond to a couple things. The first
So,
is,
yeah, you're losing those two people.
Anti-MAGA.
Guys, you're losing the 2 anti-MAGA Republicans in the entire fucking world. Guys, the 2 voters, the 2 anti-MAGA Republicans in the entire fucking world, you're losing them.
By and large, I just want people who are anti-MAGA and willing to vote for, for the Democratic candidate. And that's why I'm building bridges with people who
I've ever seen go back to Star
range on the spectrum ideologically, but who have expressed a desire or a preference for voting for the Democrat over the Republican in that context. That's a broad tent coalition. And in terms of whether we're closer to you or closer to the Vanguard, I think it depends on what. I think the single axis thing that you're pointing at is kind of like a looking at the labels. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with you like putting the labels in the way you're doing it. But I would, for example, consider MAGA like in terms of left, right, the traditional economic spectrum. I don't know like how right wing, like a lot of the MAGA people seem like they're okay with planned economies in some instances, right? Like a lot of the time they're okay with like Trump making.
Yeah, but that's when it gets into a horseshoe.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of ideology, I'm definitely closer to you on issues of structure when it comes to like
horseshoe
norms,
theory.
I think of
4chan politics
probably
terms.
than the Vanguard. But in terms of economic policy, I'm probably way more comfortable with socialized medicine than you are, or I don't know about that, but like, so I don't.
Yeah, somebody asked me that about in chat or whatever. Basically, I don't have a problem with a multi-payer system. I think everybody should have like a basic, decent level of care, and then if you're rich, you can pay for all the fucking extras.
Yeah, so I don't know how far or close I am to you versus Vanguard. I consider it like if you guys are
conservative, by the way,
Democrat
guys.
is better.
Yeah, but are the Vanguard? Sorry, real quick. Are the Vanguard though? Are they Marxist-Leninists? Are they tankies? Are they crypto tankies? You know what? You know what's that? Because to me, I would view that as effectively the opposite mirror of Christian nationalism. I really would.
Are you a Christian nationalist?
Sorry, what's that?
Are you a Christian nationalist?
No.
Oh.
I'm saying Christian nationalists, authoritarian theocrats. Even let's say that JD Vance was still a never Trump Republican and he had perfect right-wing policy, and I wanted to vote for JD Vance. Well, a Christian nationalist might also vote for JD Vance, but they want to institute a Christian autocracy. They want to destroy the Constitution of the United States. So we might be proximate allies, as Josiah was saying, in the fact that we're both voting for the same candidate.
Yeah, but I'm not going to vote for someone.
But political project.
Yeah. So if the Vanguard start promoting a candidate that I think will cause the breakdown of society similar to like a Christian nationalist candidate, then I won't support that candidate. Like if I think that there's a candidate from the left who poses an existential threat greater to MAGA, I'm going to do a different risk calculus there, and I won't support him. But I don't think like right now, where we are in terms of the Overton window, whatever you want to say, like we're not even close to having fielding a candidate that's like that. Mamdani, I think, is not at all like that.
I don't want to entertain. Yeah. I don't want to entertain the shift left. So for instance, I think what Hutch's argumentation, because I think you guys pointed out towards the end of the stream that like 80%, 90% of his content right now is anti-far left content. He's trying to, in my opinion, like strangle the infant in the crib of far left hoodoo fucking nonsense. And he feels like it's not getting called out by the left. You guys kind of minimize it. And then what I would say is I side with fucking Hutch. Because the truth is that if those people become more relevant, if those people become propagandistic tools by the far right or whatever, the contrarians, I know it's not fair, but the contrarian right are looking for any excuse not to vote for a Democrat. Yeah, any excuse. So if you give them any excuse, like, they go right.
So
those people are going right either way.
Some of them whom we bring on the show, they're more relevant than us in terms of their audiences. Kyle and Crystal are platforming me when they bring me on.
Relevant or irrelevant?
Relevant, right? Breaking Points is a show that gets millions of viewers every single week. Kyle Kalinske gets millions of viewers every single week. The Vanguard, much bigger than me. They get more views than me or Hutch. They're, when we invite them onto our show, it's in some ways a favor to us, okay? Because we're small fish, all right? And I don't think that there's like
dude, who is like the contrarian right? Like, is he talking like fucking Sitch and Adam? Adam was voting Trump no matter what. I'm not gonna lie. That guy was voting Trump no matter what.
We could do or not do that would stymie their growth. And so in terms of the prescription, what good? What are we doing by like spending our time like burning bridges, if that's the prescription, like is the prescription to burn the bridges with the Vanguard, with Crystal and Kyle? So so then what is actually the prescription of us that would be helpful to strangling in the crib some notions or some people? Like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to be able to do that.
I think having the good fights and being the better creator. So I think that Hutch and I are probably in similar boats, which kind of sucks. Which is that we're like, I don't know, drier, more boring. You know, we don't do math.
Me too. Guess what? Me too. I'm boring too.
Yeah.
It's hard for a boring creator.
We don't do hard drugs. We don't have sex with like crazy Instagram models, and we don't have.
But that's also one of the problems is the left. A lot of liberals suck as creators. I learn a lot from these other leftist creators who have more riz. They just have more riz. They have just better.
Because they're crazy.
I don't think it's just because they're crazy. I think that they're more.
I think they're a little crazy.
You think
not specifically.
You think Crystal Ball and Kyle?
I didn't say whoever you said specifically. I'm just saying that, like, I think when you have more extreme politics, it's just more attractive. It's more
okay. But we're not
people going.
But as an example, we're not reaching out to the Mike from PAs of the world. We're not reaching out to Hassan to come on our show as though he would. We're not reaching out to people who are so far to the left, the bad empanadas.
You were asking if burning the bridge was the prescription, and I think that Hutch bought down on that. I don't think he needed to. And also, I'll tell you what my prescription.
Yeah, tell me.
So with the Vanguard in particular, I think Hutch did. I think he did exactly what I would want him to do in reference to the AOC drama and in reference to the Manchin drama, which is with Manchin. He just pointed out, like, hey guys, I hear you. You want Democrats to be more passionate. However, tactically, this just doesn't make sense. And what's funny is that because I'm an emotional creature as well, I was siding with the Vanguard at the beginning of the debate because I'm like, yeah, Democrats are pussies. They need to wake up. They need to get mad. They need to do this. They need to do that.
But they do.
But Hutch actually had like a decent tactical analysis that was undeniable.
Well, no, but right? The thing is,
okay, but I think Pisco will agree that on the factual grounds, on the descriptive grounds, Hutch absolutely beat the Vanguard. The issue was Pisco, Josiah, and the Corner Boy were trying to get a broader point across to Hutch. Hutch wasn't listening to that and kept going back to this individual example where he won on the descriptive grounds. And was like trying to completely ignore the whole prescriptive thing, the broader prescriptive argument.
I almost think that it's a bit of a distraction. Debate, by the way. I know, but I almost think it's a bit of a distraction because, yeah, we agree with Hutch.
I'm having a waking nightmare where the same sub 20k nothings are arguing about platforming and messaging strategy to affect the vote by literally 0% until the end of time. It's been going on for like 5 or 10 years now, and it'll go on for at least 5 or 10 more. Okay.
On the specific
probably will never end. Probably never end now. The toothpaste out the tube.
Litigating the issue of the past with respect to Manchin and all that other stuff. He's right about the micro point, but the macro point, which is what I think Econoboy and I were trying to get to is, let's get some energy. Let's get some fight in us. It's something that we can improve on, which is why I think that initial inclination of you, Connor, is so telling. Because that's my initial inclination is, yeah, like he hear these two young boys, these young men who are coming on and basically saying Democrats need to be better fighters. And I agree with that, right? I totally agree with that. On the micro points, yeah, Hutch wins. We've always agreed with him on those specific micro points. And I guess in the AOC it's a different conversation, but that's what I mean. Like the broader point of
how literally. So basically just, I mean, he says, yeah, obviously I was right on the individual things, but he was not accepting the broader point. He was not even engaging with the broader point. He kept retreating back to those individual, wins that he'd already gotten, that they'd already said, no, you're right about that, Hutch. But he keeps going back to them the whole fucking debate.
I think there's a lot to learn from people anyone who says that like the Democrats did things perfectly or like should have stuck around with Joe Biden or did things well in Harris's campaign. I'm bored of that. I want to say, how can we improve? How can we be better? And that's why I'm so like, honestly, just rolling my eyes at the Hunter Biden stuff is because he's basically saying we should have just stuck with Biden instead of stuck with Biden. And that's like the opposite of what I think we should do.
Well,
so guys, now is a great time to chill, actually. Guys, we've got 480 people watching, 50 likes on the stream. Some of those 430 people wouldn't mind please moving their cursor to thumbs up and clicking it, or pressing a thumbs up on your mobile device. That'd be hugely appreciated. Now, if you want to take your support one step further, you can do it directly through the Stream Elements link in the pinned chat message. You can also buy a membership to the channel, gift a membership to the channel, gift a whole bunch of memberships randomly throughout the chat. Buy a super chat, which will highlight a message and read it on TTS. Or buy a super sticker, which is a YouTube image or GIF that we highlight in chat. They'll describe it to you. You can go to discord.gg/Kuihman, twitter.com/Kuihman, or reddit.com/r/Kuihman. Thank you. Also, we're going to do a goal. We'll do epic goal, okay? Epic goal going in the chat, guys.
With the AOC thing, though, and I'll have an explanatory thing at the end, but with the AOC thing, though, I feel like Hutch was correct again. And by the way, I was with everybody else first, and then he won me back on a tactical point, which is effectively that You, Andy Conaboy, said, you know, the lefties are just being crazy. You know, it doesn't affect the electoralism. Don't worry about it. They're voting for Democrats anyways. They're just bitching because they love to bitch.
True.
And then you also said, couldn't we do this in an effective way, which is effectively saying like, hey, we don't want to be participants in your guys' current ethnic cleansing campaign. So we're not going to zero squash your defensive munitions, but you need to pick up the bill. So over the next year or over the next 6 months, you're picking up the bill for the Iron Dome, and then Israeli civilians don't get killed, but we're not involved in the complicity of ethnic cleansing, which, by the way, I thought was a very reasonable point.
But the point, that was the point, right? Like,
thank you for the $5. Huge appreciation.
Epic stuff.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Like Hutch is trying to be like, on the substantive point, I think Hutch ended up agreeing there with the notion that if you take the view that what's going on
but
is...
he did have a kill shot.
Oh, well, hang on. I'll hear the kill shot.
I want you to explain it, but I want to explain the kill shot afterwards.
Yes, you can definitely explain the kill shot. If on the substance, right, we're not talking about the tactical point. On the substance of that vote, if you take the view...
Thank you, BitRecky, for the membership. Huge appreciate. Thank you, thank you.
That, as I do, that Israel is conducting an unjustified genocide and ethnic cleansing campaign, or something approaching that, and that they have we
gotta get the snark left term out there, man.
Palestine with their actions, then of course it makes all the sense in the world to cut defense style munitions and funding for their Iron Dome, because all of it's fungible, right? It's all fungible. You know, if I give you money to buy food, and you give that money to Israel, the argument has been in terms of the material support divisions for like Hamas and Hezbollah, you can't send money to Hamas because they'll just use that money to buy food, and that's offshoring some of their expenses that they can now use for their offensive weaponry. And so it's all fungible. And people act as though that's such an unhinged position on the substance, right? No, so I don't think that's an unhinged position.
I was saying that was actually your strongest point.
Yeah. And the fungibility argument, and I think even Hutch granted that, is separate from the strategic.
People just don't know what the word fungible means.
Yeah, it means you can funge it. No, it means this is all money spent one place, right? You can shift that spending.
It helps you move around other shit.
It's movable. It's flexible in that way. So that money spent, if you're able to shore up in one discrete area, it lessens the load you have to bear there, and you can use that to shore up your offensive weaponry. And let
me tell you the kill shot, because this is where like I just shifted to Hutch almost immediately. Was he brought up the fact that this is, if you're looking at a 10-second summary, which is oftentimes the way that people consume their
okay, but this is now the practical thing. But they agree on the practicality. He's about to say the 10-second summary is that America or AOC or whoever voted yes on dropping defensive funding for Israel. They want Israeli civilians to die. That's obviously the immediate optical spin that is put on that. So it's probably, when the vote's not going to go through anyway, it's probably a bad thing to vote on, because it's just a mark that can be used against you by people motivated to do so. It's just not a very good use of a vote or political capital, or like a potentially bad optical moment. But they agree on that. They agree it's not a smart, practical idea to vote on that, to vote yes on the MTG Iron Dome thing.
Information, particularly in the TikTok and Twitter landscape. Then the headline is going to read, AOC voted against defensive weapons for Israel.
No, but
right?
but Connor, I agreed with that strategic point.
Yes,
which is why I'm
yes,
not
literally,
AOC
yes.
a hard time there, is because I'm aware of that. I know what game she's playing. Yeah, I understand, but like, I don't agree. That's why I say I don't agree with that criticism that they're saying she's a disgrace, she's this or that or whatever, because I know what game that AOC is playing, and so I'm not gonna judge her super hard on that vote, 100%. And I think that she has ambitions, and I want to protect and defend her. But we agreed on that. That's why, like, I don't understand where all of this
because you guys need to. You're fighting each other, but ideally you would be working together. And the way that it would work is that you would take the energy and passion of the left, of the far left, of these young kids who might be a little bit
$5 I trigger. Thank you.
Sound, but then you filter
one
it.
Conservative stance of Connor that isn't marriage is good or something vague like that.
No, it's all like marriage is good. I love heckin' social cohesion. We need cultural Christian values, but I don't believe in God. Like it's all just shit like that, isn't it?
Through the tactical acumen of an intelligent liberal who can explain electoral politics.
Wait, but Connor, how is this going to work? How is this going to work?
Right now, these people are treating each other like enemies, not like people on the same team.
So how is this going to work, actually, Connor? Because my actual position is the following: you should stop all funding of Israel, and you should stop them entirely, including but not limited to Iron Dome spending, and that because it's all fungible, I think the right thing is for America to stop totally. That is my position. I'm just telling you what my position is. But the basis that I would defend to go on those shows is like, even though I agree with you guys that that's how America should act, I'm okay with AOC doing this because of optics and for pure power strategy like it's House of Cards. That's not going to play well with anybody, and really no one but us people in the weeds are going to be able to sign off on that defensive AOC. I really think that is a kind of like...
The truth hurts. The truth hurts. This is the thing. Like, honestly, I don't know how to square this circle, and maybe I'm just bad at it. Like I could just be bad at this. I don't know. But I don't know how to square the circle of the passions of the population with the tactical intelligence necessary to be good at politics. I don't know how to square that circle. The only thing that kind of guides me is telling the truth as I see it. That's the only thing at the end of the day. So if I have a bad opinion, I still have to share my bad opinion because I earnestly believe it. And if it pisses people off, it pisses people off. I mean, dude, I've been pissing my chat off all day. To be fair,
but I'm not going to burn the bridge.
Well.
I actually have to say every retarded thought that comes to my mind.
I don't think you should burn any bridges.
Okay, so then what are we talking about here? You know,
I'm talking about let's say so by the way, this is fire content. People are talking about it. So I actually would change nothing in reference to content for lefties fighting lefties. That's great. But what I would talk about with Crystal Ball, with Kyle Kalinske, with the Vanguard boys, is I would say, like, hey, I love your passion. You guys are so cool, blah, blah, blah. Let's get beers. Let's get drunk. Let's start dating Instagram e-thoughts together. Let's do a little bit of meth. But I got my boy Hutch over here, and he's a pretty smart electoral guru, and he has some criticisms. I want y'all to fight
Isn't that what we did, though? That's what I'm saying. Like, isn't that what we did?
It's fire content. We're talking about it.
I know, but like people are acting as though some other thing should have been done, right? Some other that there was this.
You just need one more liberal.
I'm a liberal. Fuckface.
What?
How am I not a liberal? Explain how I'm not a liberal anymore. You're like,
okay.
You're saying I'm a socialist communist. How is this even a liberal discussion?
Progressive. I said you're a progressive.
Okay. How is this at all, right? Like, how is this discussion about defending AOC or not defending AOC? How is that you're a socialist or liberal type discussion? It's like a tactical discussion, isn't it?
Okay. You don't have to agree with my assessment. I'm just going to give you my assessment.
Because you hang out with Aaron.
I mean, that's the outside. However, inside the group dynamic, it seems that Econoboy and you tend to agree on a lot and are willing to fight Hutch on a topic. Pondering is playing the middle ground and facilitating conversation, so oftentimes he feels like the moderator. So either Pondering needs to come down from his moderator status and fight alongside Hutch passionately, or you need...
Yeah, but Josiah doesn't agree with Hutch. That's the thing. Pondering doesn't agree with Hutch. Because
pretend to agree with Hutch. Pretend to agree with Hutch to balance it out. Pretend to agree with Hutch to balance it out. There's too many of you people beating up on the guy who I agree with, so you need to pretend to agree with him to balance it out.
Libs. The show is about milquetoast libs. That was the whole conception of the show. What do you mean, no?
Well, yeah, and my chat is saying these guys are a bunch of far left fucking socialist lunatics.
But explain how. Explain how. Wait, hang on. So Econoboy just came out. So I just want to. I don't want to squash his truth. He just came out. So Econoboy just came out as socialist. So I agree with that aspect. But in terms of me and Josiah, where there also is critique that we are moving more to the left, explain that. Explain that.
Sure. I would say it's probably guilt by association. I would say it's probably substantively guilt by association, because from the outside, we see you guys hanging out with the Vanguard, and you guys aren't holding hands above the table, but you interlock your toes. You're playing footsie together, and then you're fucking hanging out with Aaron, and you're playing footsie with her too. So yeah, like it's...
Econoboy might call himself a socialist, but from everything I've heard him say so far, he sounds like even less socialist than Vosh. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like Vosh is already sort of like... It sounds like you just want like a different capitalism. And Econoboy is like even more like that.
It's guilt by association, but you're guilt by associating to the left, and you're not guilt by association to the center and the right.
I debate righties all the time. I bring on...
Debate, meaning that you have fights with them, which means that you're pushing against them. You're not fucking interlocking.
Aaron and I disagree. Wait, Aaron and I disagree on our show. Like,
yeah, but
it's more collaborative. Yeah, it's more
fun.
It's more fun and banter. Well, but what do you want me to do? Like, so if there's a righty out there who...
you don't have to accept my prescription. You don't have to accept my prescription. I'm just saying... That's the exterior.
You're basically saying that it's all virtue signaling. It's all who you align yourself with. It's all who you do shows with. But it's not about an actual tracking of any changed position, which nobody can identify. Right? Like, nobody can identify a single changed position in this supposed like turn to the left. No one can identify even one thing.
I think it's Israel. I think it's mostly Israel. Because the truth is, when it comes to Twitch,
what did I say? What did I say?
Oftentimes, like I describe myself as like a tepid Zionist.
CPCA
right?
wins.
Like,
CPCA wins.
Israel should exist, but we probably shouldn't help them out with the ethnic cleansing.
Anti-Semites win again. Anti-Semites win again. Pattern recognition wins again.
But if you look at
it's all about fucking Israel.
American political opinion, I think it's 2-1, 3-1 in general support.
Actually, we have to completely tear the Democrats in two, tear the entire support base of the Democrats in two. You have to be constantly hostile towards lefties because Israel, because foreign state, because foreign state engaged in some of the most horrific crimes against humanity seen in the modern era.
Then there are 14 scary socialists sitting at the table in Counterpoint's mind.
Thank you for the $5 Tetris Chemist. Huge appreciated. Thank you so much. My foreign state. Okay, man. Okay. Always comes back here. Always gets back here, doesn't it?
Support for Israel. And so as a result, that seems like a either far left or lefty progressive take, or that feels like a far right take to be against Israel. And so I feel like if you're talking to the Vanguard boys, or if you're talking to Aaron and you're just saying like, yeah, fuck Israel, we shouldn't fund them at all, then that's going to be viewed as a far lefty talking point.
Yeah, so I think that Piers Morgan has come out and said that what's going on.
Sure. It's becoming increasingly normalized online for sure.
And like the whole country has seen the depravity of what's happening, like the constant massacres at food sites, the starvation deaths that are now increasing significantly. So like to act as though, okay, now being more vocal against the atrocities that are being committed, that is a lefty position, or I don't know. I don't think that it is. And even just to be clear about something, I was supporting.
It's like a human position. It's like, hey, maybe we should stop murdering all those people and destroying their homes in such a way that they won't be able to go back there for decades. Hey, maybe we should like chill. Maybe they should like stop. Maybe less of that, please. Far left, though, guys. Very far left position.
Biden's efforts to get a ceasefire. I'm in favor of a two-state solution. I'm like with Joe Biden on that, and I was in favor of a ceasefire.
The right wing is associated with like what is it? They call it Kufi, the evangelical Christian support for Zionist Israel, et cetera, and then also the tepid Democrats, the Zionist Democrats, the Jewish Democrats, who are viewed as more right wing in context of this issue. One of the arguments that I brought up repeatedly that they bring up as well is that while providing $3.8 billion per year, enabling Israel in order to do the ethnic cleansing is monstrous. Effectively, we need to be critical enough of the state of Israel in order to reel back in their bullshit, but we can't be so critical that we lose their orbit. And so this kind of becomes like a dance between, we don't want them selling tech secrets and intel secrets to Russia or China. We don't want them getting technology away to China or Russia. And then also, we might not be able to rely on the fact that I think it's like 6 million Jews in the United States, 7 million Jews in Israel. We can't just rely on Jewish residency to maintain a good relationship with the state of Israel. And so if we say, fuck you, go independent, Israel might say, yeah, fuck you, we're going independent.
So that sounds like an argument that regardless of what Israel does, regardless.
Yeah, we're being held hostage. Yeah.
That we should not stop funding them.
Yeah, you have to do a balance of 60,000 dead versus Russia and China get the most advanced
the trolley probleming. Let's go.
I'm gonna give you
This is the norms processes guy. Norms and processes guy just earlier. Norms and processes, except when they're international. Except when they're international. If they're international and they make it so my country might lose, no, we can't do norms and rules and processes. No, that's not going to work. We can't start applying international law to it. That's not going to work. What if Russia and China get the tech? How could we possibly maintain international law and the norms that we've built over the last century?
Weapon systems on the planet.
I'm going to give you a hypothetical, and I hope it's not going to be that you're not going to consider it too outlandish. Suppose that Bibi Netanyahu ordered the IDF to commit a knowing massacre of what they knew to be civilians at a food site for the purpose of discouraging civilians from accessing food. Just one time, and we have absolute proof that Bibi did this. It's like, suppose that there is an absolute proof that Bibi ordered one massacre at one of these food sites, killing people for the purpose of disincentivizing citizens in Gaza from obtaining food. Do you think that would be grounds for us to cease all funding of Israel?
Of course. Yeah.
Of course. So
on a moral basis, 100%.
But right, okay.
However, just like we're talking about with morality in politics,
he knows better than say but. He knows better than say, however. However, okay. That sounds way better. However.
Right? How many lives? For instance, I thought you were going to ask about genociding the entire 2 million people.
I think it's much less than that, right? Like if we have evidence that Israel is directing.
But Connor would go that
Their
far. Connor would.
I would murder Palestinians for the sake of murdering Palestinians.
Until the
Not
end.
some security concern
Right.
or whatever.
I would think that, like, wait, hang on a second. We have to stop funding this. Even putting aside if it's every single person, right? And I actually think that the odds are, like, what do you think the odds are that they're specifically making conditions in Gaza as bad as possible for the explicit purpose of getting them all out of there? That is to say, making it worse from a humanitarian perspective for the explicit purpose of getting them all out of there. I think that's a high likelihood, don't you?
So here's where I don't feel like I know enough. Okay. Since 2023, allegedly, the numbers that we're working with are 60K dead, 20,000 fighters dead, and 200,000 projected deaths from indirect causes, disease, malnutrition, et cetera, right? That's what we're looking at right now. That's 10% of the Gazan population dead. Pretty fucked up, right? But if we look at the Israeli arguments and we steelman them, we don't assume that they're being duplicitous. Then, in modern urban combat, a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 civilian to combatant death ratio is pretty common in urban combat. So if you look at Hue City in Vietnam, if you look at Fallujah, Second Battle of Fallujah, if you look at some of the battles in World War II, et cetera, this is actually pretty in line with like modern conflict stats. So then the question becomes, what is incumbent upon
What is the
Israel?
objective? What do you think the objective is my question. What do you think the objective is? My question is, what do you think Israel's objective is?
No, that's where, for me, the longer that they keep people in tents, subject to food aid with no plans to rebuild Gaza, the more it looks like ethnic cleansing to me.
I think that's clear already. Like I think it's clear. Like none of this is explained.
Why would Trump endorse it if that wasn't the plan?
Right. Exactly. So like they're open about this shit. Like it's for me, it's kind of clear what their aim is, and like why are we even still debating it? It seems that their aim is specifically to push all of these people out of the country.
Because the reason you're still debating it is because the people that have decided that they have a strategic or whatever interest in maintaining Israel's use of military force, that those people will just endlessly debate like Connor is doing right now. They will endlessly, like Hutch, go, well, bombing a hospital isn't necessarily a war crime. And leave it there. They will endlessly do this, endlessly do that, because it's just like, it is just sold out. No one get too upset about this. Don't get too upset at Israel. Don't like demand any change happens. Because look, there's still a little bit of doubt. So that's just the goal. It's just a completely bad faith, like a constant engagement, like ultimate skeptic. Like you can see, anyone can see at least ethnic cleansing. It's like totally, it's crazy to say. I understand the whole argument around genocide, and I wouldn't jump to saying genocide because I understand all the legal arguments and stuff. But it's pretty clear. The goal is gaining some space, moving some ethnic population from one place, at least moving from one place to make space and have that space essentially for yourself or as like a buffer zone or whatever. It's you want them gone. You want them gone though. That's pretty clear.
To push them all out.
But then the question becomes a question of pragmatics of where, because Egypt won't take them, Libya won't take them, Jordan won't take them.
No, all we're talking about. So I'm not asking about. I'm saying, what are the intents of the state of Israel? The intents of the state of Israel.
I think the Netanyahu government would love it. They would love it if Egypt said the humanitarian crisis is too great to bear. We're opening the Sinai.
I'm not asking what they would love. What is their current present intent? But from all the evidence, I think the best conclusion is they are trying to push the Gazans out. Do you agree? That's the best conclusion.
Yeah, I would say it's 70-30, 80-20 ethnic cleansing.
Okay. And then the denial of food, these massacres, to me, the most plausible scenario is they're specifically trying to disincentivize the people from going to these food trucks at all, to make conditions bad, to make people question whether they should stick around. Even though they've been pressured by the Trump administration and others to allow some amount of aid in, these massacres, in context of their ultimate aim, make complete sense, right? Like, we're killing these people because we want to push them the fuck out. And that's something where, if that's the goal, right? If that is the ultimate goal here, and there isn't an ultimate goal of rebuilding, there isn't an ultimate goal of stopping the massacre, stopping the bloodshed, why should America fund it? I don't think that is, like, strictly speaking, a communist position. And it's one I think that the Biden administration should have taken a harder line and harder look at what's going on.
It's what will the world tolerate, and what is in the interest of the United States. And I hate to be so cold about it, but the truth is,
look, immediately, it is like, it's not about rules and norms or anything. The moment it becomes international, the moment it's about, like, other people, and potentially because he knows America is on top, doesn't have to worry about any of the international law, all of a sudden, all those beliefs about rules and norms and liberalism just slip away, just suddenly fades away. It's every man for himself on the international stage because Connor is in a position of power. Because in America, he is in a position of weakness. It is rules and norms, and we must all abide by the rules and norms. Okay. All right, man.
Like I said, Israel's a high technology country. We don't want them to drift into China's orbit or Russia's orbit. Then if you also look at the Syrian civil war, 500,000 dead. If you look at the Yemeni conflict with Saudi Arabia, I don't even know how many people died, but I know Saudi Arabia effectively did a humanitarian blockade against the Yemenis for like a decade and bombed the shit out of them. So, is 200,000 projected dead.
Yeah, we're sending the Palestinians to Somalia, okay?
Attempt, not a feeble, but
two million Palestinians making little Gaza in Somalia. It's going to be awesome.
Haphazard attempt at ethnic cleansing. Is it enough to sever the relationship? And morally, yes. Politically, I don't think so.
I don't even know what you mean by that. Like, so if ethically it's the right thing to do, I assume that you're
refugees welcome.
I think
CPCA?
Sweep for it. Well, I take something when someone says something is ethically correct. I take that to be the thing that you ought do. I don't understand ethics outside of things that you ought do. So if the ethical thing is to stop aid, then it's by definition, analytically, it's a thing that ought happen. So I don't understand what you mean by it's the right thing to do outside of that we ought do it.
Because there's a geopolitical calculus, okay?
Well, I would include the geopolitical calculus in whether something is right or wrong, because my notion of what something is right or wrong is something that someone ought do. I don't understand right or wrong outside of things that you ought do.
So.
Okay,
I don't think so. So as an example, let's say that we totally alienate Israel. We say, fuck them, you're not getting a dime from us. You're committing an ethnic cleansing. You're a piece of shit. Fuck you, right? And so we alienate Israel, and they sell all of our defense secrets to Russia and China, okay? China gains in the next 2 decades, as a result of this consequence, gains a military advantage that allows them to invade and seize Taiwan, which, by the way, I think has like...
Do you see what I mean? It's like, it's all like the Warhammerification of politics, the Star Warsification of politics. Here's my Warhammer lore projection of how the next 10 years of geopolitics are going to play out. Well, what if China got this technology and they suddenly were able to put Star Destroyers, and then they started deploying Star Destroyers, and America got fucking blown up by the Star Destroyers? Hey, Connor.
Like a population of 10 million, right? So what we've done is we've sacrificed our relationship with a country that was currently attempting an ethnic cleansing of 2 million people, and we've condemned 10 million people to slavery with the CCP, and we've also empowered authoritarian communism for another century. So that is part
you would
of
have to make the calculation
enslave
that
10 million
the
people with the CCP.
Right is, that's the horseshoe. That horseshoe thing. Because of the horseshoe, the horse was lost. Because the horse was lost, the soldier was lost.
Yo, thank you for $10. Huge appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Was lost, the unit was lost because the unit lost, the flank was lost because the flank was lost, the battle was lost because the battle was lost. Like, you would have to take some sort of calculation that Israel has some sort of defense secret so secret that it could literally be the linchpin in a strategy of China invading Taiwan. I just don't have a reason to believe that that's the case. You can invent any kind of scenario that like, I don't know, to lead to that. Maybe you think that Israel will like sell nukes to someone. If I don't think that's very likely. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's not very likely. It's not very likely, and I also think that. That there's a strong chance that even if we applied leverage to Israel, let's say that Kamala won instead, and Kamala said, hey, listen, you guys are fucking up on the world stage. You're committing an ethnic genocide or like an ethnic cleansing with our name written all over it. We can't support this shit, so you guys need to back the fuck off. I think that Israel would probably listen. Reason being that we have 6 million Jews in our population. That's almost the same population that lives in Israel, right? So I think we have the leverage to tell Israel what to do. You have to have somebody who has the balls and the moral clarity to take that risk.
Yeah, we know that. So like, but the thing is, we're really talking about me. This is all about me, right? And so the reason I say that is, does me saying, hey, what America should do is take that stand.
Are you sure? Do I count those again?
Would result in some change in potentially in what Israel's actions are. I do think that sometimes they're movable. Even Trump, right, moved them a little bit on some things. Biden certainly did that as well. So I do think that there is room for America, the country, to play. So for me, taking the position that, hey, we need to at least threaten to cut off aid, or at least threaten it, at least use some of our leverage. That makes me a fucking communist? In what world? There's
no. It's not that. And by the way. I would just refer you. You're kind of coming to me and you're expecting me to explain chat's feelings. I've been fighting fucking chat all day that cronyism and nepotism is bad. And just because Trump is worse doesn't make cronyism and nepotism good. You know what I'm saying? So like we're talking about emotional arguments, right? Okay. Do you want, I'll ask you these questions. This should clarify it for chat. Do you want a moneyless, stateless, classless society?
No.
Then you're not a communist. Do you want the decommodification of basic human need and workers owning the means of production, which means that the government steps in and it guarantees food, water, and shelter for every human being within the country, and also the state mandates, if you don't go with this, I'm gonna shoot you in the face, okay? Mandates that employees have a guaranteed stock in the companies they work for.
No.
Then you're not a socialist and you're not a communist.
I don't know if I take that socialist definition. I think socialism is like a matter of degree, not necessarily like an on-off switch. But
we could argue about that, but that would piss me off. And the reason why it would piss me off is because then cops are socialists and taxes are socialist.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, under that vision,
the feudal kingdoms of medieval Europe were socialist.
I don't have
bullshit.
I don't have a principled position against the accumulation of capital. I don't have a principled position against private ownership. I want government ownership and collective ownership.
Does Connor ever think? Oh, Jesus Christ. Does Connor ever give thought to what his God would think of him giving a pass to the massacre of civilians for pragmatic geopolitical concerns? Seems like he's on the wrong side of this one.
To the extent that it makes sense and produces results that I take to be good, but it's not a principled stance against
to show up for market failures, which I think is a sensible position.
Hence, I'm a liberal. Doobie super chats. Does Connor ever give thought to what his God would think of him giving a pass to the massacre of civilians for quote pragmatical geopolitical concerns? Seems like he's on the wrong side of this. I just think that whatever I'll let you respond to that. I think that whatever moral calculus would include those geopolitical concerns. I think what Connor would say is if he's pricing in the death of other people, right, he needs to weigh that, and his God, right, like would weigh that or something. So if Connor actually believes there's a basis to think that upsetting this relationship would lead to the enslavement and death of other people, I don't think he's crazy for factoring that into the analysis.
Well, I can steelman that even further. I got some super chats as well, and I think one of them was a question for you. Okay.
Oh, Pisco, you're reading that shit like Pisco, you're reading that shit like that. Well, I got some super chats for you too.
Which I'm not. God condemned the Philistines to death multiple times through conquest by the state of Israel, and he condemned the tribe of the Amalekites specifically to be genocided off of the face of the planet to the point that they even killed the babies.
So your God literally is a genocidal God.
Right. So if I was a literalist, my God would be genocidal. But since I'm not a literalist, I just think that there's a creative and ordered force in the universe. And when you observe social behaviors that are pro-social, typically we call those things virtue. And when we observe like bad behaviors, we call those vices, and the Bible calls it sin. And so when I bump into a bunch of anti-theists who don't even believe in good or bad or virtue or vice, I call them historical and spiritual ignoramuses. So I'm not a literalist.
Okay. All right. I want to circle back again on the whole conversation stuff. Like, so with the Vanguard situation, do you identify anything that we did that's wrong, that you think is wrong?
No, I would just, you know how you do like, I think BDSM people call it aftercare. You know, after you beat the shit out of your partner in a sexual context, I think you just need to do a little bit of aftercare for Hutch. You just need to go, oh, I know that got pretty spicy. Are you okay, buddy?
Isn't that like a little? So first of all, I think we did that. And I think we've had like multiple
There's no way
sessions with Hutch already. But
dude, literally, the only way anyone comes to Pisco to actually defend Hutch is to completely infantilize him, treat him like a total fucking retard, act like he's some fucking, yeah, like what are we even saying? He's aftercare from the debate. This is the only defense anyone can mount of Hodge.
I feel like in any other context, if that were the prescription with that respect to that conversation is to do aftercare, people would like laugh at how soy that notion is, you know?
No, I agree, but the left is soy.
Okay, but like, right? You're basically saying we should give him a belly rub after just to make him feel good.
He's bringing you the content, man. He's owed at least a belly rub. He's fighting you guys. He's making it spicy. He's making it fun. He's making it interesting.
I agree.
You owe him a belly rub.
I agree, but then, okay, in terms of the actual conversation that we had, you're not going to sign off to these unhinged thread writers who are like, oh, yeah, they're fucking gaslighting, right? We didn't. Do you think that we gaslit Hutch?
The only part of the gaslighting that I think I called out while I was reviewing the content was you started the AOC conversation with like, Hutch, you don't have a moral argument against us, right? You only have a pragmatic argument, right? And that's kind of like,
I was trying to.
If he had a moral argument, he was a bad person.
No. That is not at all what happened there. No. What was happening there is like, in terms of the substance of the policy, do you agree with the argument that it's, that you can funge it?
Yeah, it's like, because Hutch is saying the criticism's fucking stupid. Hutch is saying the criticism's stupid, so you have to unpick that, right? They're assuming he doesn't think the criticism's stupid because, oh, actually, we should be giving Israel even more money. They're assuming he thinks the criticism's stupid because it's infeasible for AOC to do, or a bad move for AOC to do. But then Hutch goes ahead and says, no, I've got an issue with both. And then he gets raped on the principle.
Right, that all this is fungible, and you agree based on what's going on. And then Hutch said yes. And I was trying to split it off so we have clarity, right? It's like, what I'm trying to do in these conversations is to get clarity, not to get lack of clarity. So I'm not trying to just have this big gestalt where everything's mixed in and we're just kind of like dodging each other and we're just ghosts passing on a ship. I just want to actually get clarity. So I want to separate the conversation from a policy perspective, does it make sense to principally be against Iron Dome funding for Israel, or sorry, to be in favor of Iron Dome funding for Israel, but be against other types of funding? And I think the answer is, yeah, you can take a stand against that because of the fungibility. And then the second argument is, notwithstanding that, do you think that it's okay or permissible or for either AOC to vote that way, or do you think it's permissible for them to react the way they did to that vote? And that's a separate conversation. I think separating that out is totally good, and it's to get clarity.
Yeah, sure. And I would say that the moral question, specifically when it comes to the Iron Dome funding, is a question of how it's done. So, for instance, let's just say that we cut off the supply of missiles immediately. We said, go fuck yourself. You're not getting any money.
I think they make their own missiles, by the way. I think they make their own missiles with our money.
Well, sure, but we cut off the funding for it or whatever. Whatever applies, right? If we cut that off and they needed time to reallocate resources in order to make sure that their missile stocks were up, then I think that you're effectively condemning some Israeli civilians to death. Whereas if you give them a taper off where you say this will be done over the next 6 months or this will be done over the next year, then I think that that moral argument loses its sting.
Okay, but like regardless of, I'm not gaslighting by putting up the distinction is my point, right? Like by putting up the distinction between like the underlying argument and then the vote argument and saying that these are separate things, I don't think that's gaslighting.
So Tallybots.
Tallybots, the famous Tallybots, yes.
Funnily enough, I actually texted Josiah and I said, hey, can I come on in order to fight you guys about Tallybots? And he didn't respond.
Wait. I would love to talk about that too, but go ahead.
Yeah, I might be running out of time though. But we can do this again. I don't care. Tallybots says that, Connor, the truth in our prescription is don't move further left. And so what I would hold you to in the spirit of that statement is I already showed you my beautiful paint drawing. My coalition is sensible progressives, sensible liberals, libertarians, conservatarians, and even contrarians. Let's say that like Tim Pool saw the light and he was like, oh my God, Trump is actually a fucking pedophile.
Copium, but yes.
Yeah, destroying our republic is actually evil. I'm going to go back to being a centrist and I'm going to call out the left when it's gone too far, but I'm also going to call out the right when it goes too far. Let's say Tim Pool did that. He had a spiritual awakening. I would give him a hug and welcome him back into the fold. Okay?
Yeah, but Vanguard, here's the difference. I just want to say one thing and I want to let you finish. It's a little bit much because Taliban voted for Trump. Vanguard voted for Kamala. So why should we be more open to the Talibots of the world than the Vanguards of the world, where Taliban voted for Trump, not just sat out, Vanguard voted for Kamala. So explain to me that.
Because Tally, no offense, Tally, I'm going to stereotype the shit out of you and you can argue with me later about it. Tally, in my opinion, is a disaffected Jew, okay? She saw
I saw your Twitter message. I saw your Twitter message. We'll do it tomorrow for sure. We'll do it tomorrow for sure.
She saw all the identity politics. She saw all the fucking.
She doesn't agree with that.
Like, I'm straw manning her in law. Yeah. You can let me finish my straw man.
Okay, sorry.
And she also saw that there were lefties who were laughing about random Jews getting verbally and physically accosted in Western countries just for being physically Jewish. And she said, fuck this. I am not a part of whatever the fuck this is. And so as a result, she did a protest vote against the excesses of the left. That's why you should care about
She specifically denies that characterization.
But dude, here's the thing, though. How many people are like Tali? It's not that many people. And Tali also, I believe she said as part of her protest vote, didn't she say that if she was in any state where there was any question about the result, she wouldn't have voted Trump? So it's like, I mean, you're appealing such a vapid edge case of people when you talk about fucking Tali bots. It's just like, who are we talking about? We're talking about 3 people on the face of the planet Earth right now.
They can go kill themselves because, well, that's rude.
Whoa! Well, look at you.
Themselves with a 40-foot pole.
See, this is crazy. This is crazy. So Tali specifically disclaims your characterization. She says that's not why she did it. He references a kind of more ideal vibes based on the woke stuff. Vibes woke stuff. That's her explanation. Not like.
But what is the woke stuff? The woke stuff is identity politics, victimization, all that bullshit. And
I think it's identity politics, and it's like
being racist, but doing it in a woke way. That's woke shit. Being racist as fuck, but doing it in a progressive way.
Okay, but she's not claiming that it's because of her Jewish identity. In fact, she is very offended at that notion when people like Doobie, for example, or like it's Jewish. I don't know if Doobie actually said this to her, but I just want to like people will say and claim that it's Jewish.
Your loyalty.
I wanted to be anti-Semitic on stream.
Okay, so you're condescending to her. That's number one, and two, like I haven't heard an answer to the question. Like,
you understand that she's not the only person that I've heard that from, right?
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, who else?
Dude, even
aristocracy. She's Canadian.
Aristocracy. She's another one.
Yeah.
And what's so funny? I don't know if anybody will send Kuihman this clip, but Kuihman, like, I watched.
Here we go. That's what we're here for. Okay. This disgusting anti-Semitic attack that this fucking jarhead launches at me.
Who else?
Fucking Mulcahy.
Aristocracy. She's Canadian.
Aristocracy. She's another one.
Yeah.
And what's so funny, I don't know if anybody will send Kuihman this clip, but Kuihman, like, I watched a clip of Kuihman laughing at Aristocracy, and it was the most self-hating Jew shit I'd ever heard in my life. He was like,
Why was he laughing?
pogroms. There's no pogroms. Nobody hates Jews.
Remember, this is the Aristocracy clip where she's saying there is a shooting at Jewish schools every other week. She says that because there were 3 shootings, 1 shot fired each time at the middle of the night at a school, not when anyone's there, not in a school. 3 shootings over 8 months. She said there's a shooting every other week at a Jewish school. She said there's pogroms in Canada. She said there's pogroms because there were some protests that became violent that were about, it was against synagogues that were doing real estate auctions for West Bank land. She's telling these insane fantasies about basically, you know, Muslims running, she doesn't say Muslims obviously, but it's the tone of Muslims running rampant through the street, you know, tearing Canada apart. Yeah, I will mock that. Yeah. Connor, if you want to debate Jewish neuroticism, okay, I'm always open. Clearly, you, as someone on the outside, has no idea. You have no fucking idea about Jewish business, okay? You have no fucking idea. Clearly. Because this bitch has gone insane, and so has Ethan, to be totally clear.
Lol, don't hurt me, guys. That was like Kuihman's response to Aristocracy freaking out about anti-Semitism in Canada. But anyways,
I don't know anything about
that. So also Brianna Wu, and you can say that she's a grifter or a shill.
She is. She absolutely is.
Her exact narrative is October 7, 2023 happens. There's a bunch of far lefties who are praising terrorism.
Yeah, her narrative has been insane, retarded lies for about 10 fucking years, Connor.
There's a bunch of liberals who don't call out the progressives, and you say, I'm still a liberal, but...
she has been the insane, retarded fucking liar who is the most unlikable person of any cause she attaches herself to for a fucking decade, maybe more, 12 years or something.
Fuck all of these guys. That's a very common narrative.
Okay. I just don't, like, so at the end of the day, we're left with 2 people who voted for Kamala and 1 person who voted for Trump. And you think that we should calibrate our response to build a bridge with the Trump voter. Again, all love to Talibots.
No.
Who won't even commit
of the problem, but you shouldn't specifically cater your political response to her.
Who won't even commit to voting for the Democrat in the future?
Because you guys fucking struggle sessioned her for fucking 5
get
hours.
off of it. Come on. Wait,
no,
really?
no, dude. It was like watching a fucking Maoist cultural revolution fucking struggle session where you're like, you know what you did was bad, right?
Dude, you're like Maoists, actually. You're like Maoists, actually. Bro, what?
Dude.
You disavow what you did previously, right? All that was missing was her with a fucking like a placard.
And yet, that's exactly. And yet,
I am a capitalist roader. I'm somebody who sympathizes with capitalism. That's what it would have been in the fucking Cultural Revolution context. But in your context, it would have been I'm a Trump voter. If all you fuckers could, I'm joking a little bit, but I'm kind of being serious. If you fucking could, you would grab Talibots, you would drag her to fucking Park Avenue, you would stick a fucking sign on her that said, I'm a Trump voter, and you would just fucking yell slurs at her for 6 hours until she recanted.
Pisco's a Maoist. Pisco's an anti-liberal Maoist now. Now it comes out.
Whoa. So, first of all, even if I did think that you characterized correctly our encounter with Talibots who, you know, we very much respect. Even if I did grant that, that's exactly what the fuck you wanted us to do with Vanguard, right? You wanted the struggle section of the Vanguard.
Because they're fucking tankies. Yes, they have different ideologies. One is better than the other.
Tankies now.
Wait, Talibots' ideology is better than tanky ideology? First of all, I don't even know what you mean by tanky.
Contrarian libs. Yes, contrarian liberals who voted right-wing to give a middle finger to progressives and leftists are better than authoritarian communists. Yes.
Okay, obviously. So I don't know that they're authoritarian tankies. Like, for example, when I think tanky, I just want to say,
their name is the Vanguard.
I understand. Okay, I understand that their name is the Vanguard.
Dude, no way. Their name is the Vanguard. Oh my god.
I just want to say,
their name is the Vanguard.
I understand. Okay, I understand that their name is the Vanguard.
And they fight liberals all the fucking time.
I understand that. So do a lot of other lefty content creators. But I think true tankies are people like Haas from Infrared, people like Jackson Hinkle, who are like Stalinists, pro-Russia people. So
okay,
I don't know.
I am sure that there is some like cringe hide your power level bullshit where they're like, oh, well, Mao was actually bad because of the the Great Leap Forward, and Stalin was bad because of the purges. But realistically, we need a vanguard party, but we need them to be really nice about it. I'm sure they have some fucking hiding their power.
You actually don't know, though. Okay, so now we're going to get into
it. Yes, literally just guessing at their ideology, just totally stabbing around in the dark. Does not know what their beliefs are, doesn't know if they did the hiding the power level shit, just totally stabbing around in the dark. Like, yeah, they're probably, like, MLs. Alright, man. Alright, man. Whatever.
Their ideology, right? You don't know her
You're
ideology.
right. I would love to talk to them about it.
But you're accusing them of being taken. You don't know.
Vanguard.
Oh, so because their name is the Vanguard. First of all, Vanguard. Isn't your name Valor Media Network? That sounds fucking fascist as shit. Valor? Valor?
What if I named myself the Waffen? What if I named myself the Wolfen? What if I named myself the Brown Shirt? Do you think, would you have any objections? Would you think that maybe I was hiding my power level a little bit? What if I name myself the...
You might have a suspicion, but then you would have to prove it out with some evidence, right? You might have some suspicion that the guy using the brown shirt as his name is like a fascist or something, but you would then have to, like, you would then want to show that somehow, right? It could just be a name. It could be a name because they think it's funny and ironic. They could be, like, a liberal thinks it's funny and ironic to pretend to be a fascist. Who would possibly ever do that? So that could be the case, though. That could be the case. You would want to then prove it out with additional evidence.
You think these are analogous? You think these are analogous?
Yes, I view vanguard Marxism as some of the most evil shit that's happened in human history, 100%.
Okay. Well, you don't know anything about their ideologies.
It gave us Mao Zedong, it gave us Joseph Stalin, and they committed some of the worst crimes against humanity in history.
Okay, so you are accusing them of being tankies because of the name.
No objections to those names. Those are some cool names.
Okay. Thank you, Max, for the $10.
Right?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they would say, "Oh, we picked it when we were 17, but realistically, we're social democrats right now. We stuck with the label."
So what I'm saying is, you are accusing them.
So
what I see of their content is that they should talk to the MAGA, they should talk to the administration, that they did express a preference for Kamala, they did express that they voted for Kamala, that they shit on Cenk Uygur when Cenk Uygur literally trying to make bridges with like fascists like Charlie Kirk and trying to make bridges with Elon Musk and those people. That's the content I see, and I think it's fucking based. I think that's base content. I think that's great. Now, I haven't seen these clips of the Vanguard saying we don't want rights. You know, they're talking about Kilmar Berger Garcia and saying that they don't like the violations of due process there. So I assume that they're not ideologically against due process if they're literally talking about Mahmoud Khalil. In fact, I'm going to go on a limb here. I seem to recall you defending the actions taken against Mahmoud Khalil, the authoritarian actions taken in that context. Now, you did defend Kilmar Berger Garcia, but so did they. And so I don't have a basis to believe, other than their name referencing some aspect of Marxist-Leninism, the Vanguard stuff, I don't have a reason beyond their name, which I think can be explained for, it could just be optics, it could just be...
Dude, there's no way Connor was defending the Mahmoud Khalil shit. There's no way.
That they're actual tankies, yeah, so I was watching this kid, Nick Fuentes. He says that he's America First the other day, and he was criticizing Hassan Piker. And you know what? I actually really hate Hassan Piker. Therefore, he's a good kid. I'm going to go ahead and hang out with him. I've never heard him endorse any racist policies. Oh my God. I'm going to rename my YouTube channel the Sturm Betala.
You know Fuentes' beliefs. Fuentes says, but you know what they are. You're not basing it just off of the name or some shit, bro.
Commonly
go find the clips of the Vanguard saying the shit that you disagree with, that you think is illiberal or whatever.
Known as the brown shirts. Now, I'm not going to talk about Nazism, but except for actually, I'm kind of like a milquetoast conservative.
Except for
I'm like a TP USA type.
Except for Fuentes.
Yeah, what did happen to Fuentes' assault charges? Did he just skate? It's fucking awesome if he got away with it, by the way.
We actually do have clips of his ideology and where like he's saying things. So we don't necessarily have that for the Vanguard, where you're accusing them of being like Stalinist, Maoist. So yeah, you should ask them.
I'll ask them.
And if they,
will
you apologize?
To them.
But you're commenting on this.
If you'll introduce me, I'll ask them. 100%.
All right, I'll definitely introduce you, and they can show up.
I'll be very polite.
I hope you will be. But aren't you doing the wrong thing? Like, so if you come out and you're like, hey, those are nice guys, I don't actually think they're tankies, you're going to be attacked as, oh, you're going to the left. You're becoming a lefty. You're becoming a lefty. You're hanging out with all these lefties. No.
Because
going off the name in Fuentes' case actually disproves Connor's logic.
At least social democrats, right?
So aren't you a social democrat?
No.
I think I consider myself a social democrat. Social democrat, as like compared to democratic socialist, right? Like, isn't a social democrat someone who's in favor? That's like what Destiny is. Destiny calls himself a social democrat. These people like that. He's in favor of some amount of. Okay.
And also, weirdly enough, you're saying social democrat. So what I'm hearing descriptively when I hear social democrat is I effectively hear like robust welfare state that takes care of all of the market failures.
That's like what Biden would propose, right? Like a public option. That's like what Kamala would propose. I don't view that as like a fucking...
I think that you can eliminate a lot of social ills through mild social conservatism.
Okay, I don't see how that's responsive. What I'm saying is it's not like a radical lefty position to be like, okay, you think that there are these
Thank
social
you.
democrats.
Wow, thank
I
you,
don't know.
Connor. Wow, thank you, Connor. Thank you. Great contribution. Thank you, Connor.
Definitions of the term social democrat. Josiah would be a social democrat. Hutch would be a social democrat, right? Like
Connor in every conversation be like, I think the whole world would be better if everyone just got married.
Italo Balbal, famous black shirt, once coined the slogan "Me ni frigo," which translates to "I don't care" or "I don't give a damn." Truly proof we are living in the fascist age.
Thank you, Max, for the $10. Huge appreciate it. Thank you.
Hutch is a social democrat. So he's in favor of socialized medicine. He's in favor of, he voted for Bernie. Like, so anything that would be, okay, you can say it's cringe. Anything that would paint them as like, oh, at least a social democrat. Hutch is a social democrat. And yet, that's what I mean. Like, it's all vibes. It's all vibes.
Okay. There's real social democrats who effectively want the Scandinavian model and they want to one-to-one import it to the United States. And then there's social democrats who know that being a socialist or a communist is unpalatable and they're just hiding their power.
So okay, you say they're high on the power level. Do tankies vote for Kamala Harris?
The ones that believe in electoralism probably did as a lesser of two evils thing. As a matter of fact, wasn't that your argument? You said that lefties 2-to-1 showed up and did vote.
I don't think I said any specific numbers, but I think the left wing, that is to say, the most ideological left people, voted for Kamala Harris when they voted. I think that's...
Yeah, and wasn't Hutch's counter argument that like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, well, number one, didn't 5 million people not show up at all? And then number two, didn't shitloads of fucking people in Michigan, because of the Dearborn population, didn't they not show up effectively?
So people, first of all, I'm seeing a super chat in your chat says, Hassan voted for Kamala, does that make him better than Tali? So I don't know that Hassan voted for Kamala. I don't think he said that he did. When did Hassan say that he voted for Kamala? I haven't at all.
So treat it as a hypothetical. Treat it as a hypothetical.
If Hassan...
The Mussolini series is kind of on my list. Like, I do, it is in the back of my mind as like something to potentially watch.
Voted for Kamala, I think that he would be a better ally than Tali, who voted for Trump. Isn't that... Wait, do you not agree with that?
So
wait. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
No, not at all.
Why?
And this is the heart of the disagreement. So Talibots, as far as I understand, is a liberal in that she believes in freedom of conscience, freedom of speech, limited government. Maybe she believes in the Second Amendment. I have no fucking idea. Free markets, etc., etc. I haven't...
Yeah, you don't know about the Mussolini series? What was it called again? Son of the Century.
Heard her articulate these things, but I'm making a presumption that if the left wing turned you off and you were willing to vote for a fascist, you'd be okay with
she voted for a fascist. Right? She voted for a fascist.
She did a protest vote
for a fascist
against the lefties who did psycho shit.
Wait, she could have protested and not voted for the fascist. A lot of people did that. She voted for the fascist.
Yeah, you're right. But she basically said that her vote wasn't going to count either way. So she was effectively trying to give you and people like you a middle finger so you would think about what you were doing.
And she voted for a fascist.
And you haven't so far, by the way.
And she voted for a fascist.
Okay. And?
Okay. So you think someone who's
she was
voted
in
for a fascist?
overwhelmingly blue state. Her vote didn't matter.
It doesn't. Wait. I hate this analysis. This would be the same if she were in a swing state. Her likely effect as a singular voter on the outcome of the election would be just as astronomically low.
Even if you disagree with the logic, do you understand the logic?
No, I don't actually. I think it doesn't make sense.
You don't understand that if a state votes 99-1 in one direction, I think that somebody can write in a candidate that they don't like as a protest.
I understand the cognitive
and
steps.
Feel like they're not taking any political risk.
So I think it's based on a delusion. But assume that would only betray a preference for Kamala. If what you're saying is I would have voted differently in a swing state, even though you're just as astronomically unlikely to affect the outcome based on your one vote.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be struggle session by you. Yeah.
What do you mean? That has she didn't know me when she made the voting decision. You're just saying random shit, Connor. That's not what was going on.
I watched the struggle session.
No, we're talking about her decision in the moment. You're just saying random shit. She wasn't thinking about me when she was in the fucking voting booth. What were you, Tali?
I think she was. I think she was 100% thinking to herself, the Democrats are playing footsie with far lefty psychopaths. They fucking, in 2020, Biden. Some prominent lefties came out and supported not just BLM as in a police reform movement. They talked about ACAB. They talked about defunding the police. They talked about this. They talked about that. They didn't do shit with it, by the way. They supported a bunch of anti-white racist shit at that time, and I went along with it because I was a lefty at the time. And then October 7, 2023 hit, and they came after the fucking Jews, and that rubbed me the fucking wrong way. So fuck these people.
Okay.
That's what I heard.
I mean, I'll just give you the even harder hypothetical. I don't know if you're going to bite it. Hassan, who voted for Kamala, or Rob Noor, who's a closer ally?
Closer ally to whom? You or me?
Do both.
Okay, so I think for you, Hassan is probably a closer ally. I think for me, Rob is still a closer ally.
Rob, who not only voted for a fascist, Rob, who plays cover for that fascist on a daily basis. Yeah, he criticized a little bit here and there. Epstein stuff.
I'll explain why. Because number one, Rob doesn't think he's voting for him.
Dude, no, what is going on? What am I seeing? It's over, man. It's so fucking over. This is Spinal BJ's Twitter account. Standing in the wind, shirt wide open, flowing in the air. A pretty girl standing behind me, waiting for me to turn around. Dramatic music playing in the background. So Freddy says, at Grok, would you say that this is likely that this user is an autogynephiliac? The description matches common autogynephilic fantasies, where the pretty girl symbolizes the aroused self-image as a female. Based on Blanchard's typology and similar accounts, it's likely though self-identification is key. There we go. Fuck, I couldn't read it because my quiver was in the way. I was looking OBS. Just bugging out, stroking out. It's totally over. Grok has declared Spinal BJ, AGP. It's done. It's over.
Fascist. Number two, he has I think delusional, but he has a real narrative that he's built in his head for why Democrats are the real fascists. Then, also what Rob ultimately fucking wants is he wants working class and middle class Americans to be able to wake up, work, pay their bills, take care of their family, and not be under a corrupt government that keeps getting them into international misadventures that cost Americans the blood and treasure of his country. He's a nationalist. You can say that he's delusional, but I respect more the instinct of Rob Noor to actually care about the United States, to love the United States, to care about its people, versus shut the fuck up, Hassan Piker, who is antipathetic to the United States. He hates the United States.
What does antipathetic mean? I don't understand what that means.
He hates the liberal democracy. He sims for authoritarian regimes. He sims for jihadist organizations. He sims for authoritarian communist organizations. He wants to see the downfall of the United States. You better believe goddamn well that Rob Noor is a closer ally to me than fucking Hassan Piker.
Well, at least
10 toes down.
At least electorally, you would agree by definition Hassan would be a closer ally.
Yeah, sure. Electorally, not ideologically.
So if I'm the Democratic Party, you would agree, not just me, crazy Pisco, crazy like awakened lefty Pisco, that for the Democratic Party, they should be, if they had to choose to build a bridge with someone, the closer bridge would be Hassan than Rob. You must agree with that.
No, I think there are. I think stop. You asked the question, I'm going to answer it. I think that with the insanity of MAGA, with the Epstein files, with the tariff economic implosions, with the chaos surrounding our neighbors, with the endorsement of the Gazan genocide, I think there are way more moderates up for grabs than there are leftists. Way more, and you're squandering them, which sucks.
Dude, I'm not talking about the moderates that Democrats could appeal to. I'm talking about Rob Noor. What I'm saying is, I think by choosing Hassan Piker to endorse him in any shape, form, capacity, you effectively make both sides look evil. And so as a result, the moderates will not come over to the left. If you sweep for, don't call out, endorse somebody who's preying on the downfall of the United States, openly endorses You're DGG baiting. You're DGG baiting. You don't want to be seen. You don't want to be seen at all in any.
Oh, dude, hello. Solar Vape, the Silverback. So true.
Look evil. And so as a result, the moderates will not come over to the left. If you sweep for, don't call out, endorse somebody who is preying on the downfall of the United States, openly endorses.
You're DGG baiting. You're DGG baiting. You don't want to be seen. You don't want to be seen at all in any capacity, in any hypothetical, even expressing a preference for Hassan, even when it's this crazy, because you're DGG baiting, because you know that if you say anything positive, even as a hypothetical, even in comparison to a major magatard like Rob Noor, that you can't even in that
dude, so true.
Context, even in that crazy context where the choices between Rob and Hassan as an ally for the Democratic Party, even in that situation, you're unwilling to express a preference for Hassan. That shows you are cooked, my friend. I can't believe you would actually say that.
Yes.
You ignored what I said. You just ignored what I said.
Okay, yeah. So go.
Okay. So I think you asked me if MAGA or whatever, or if Rob was reachable. And then you asked me in the hypothetical, who should we pursue?
Who's a closer ally?
Hassan Piker or Rob?
Who's a closer ally for the Democratic Party?
Okay, I already answered this.
And you said Rob Noor.
Hassan. Ideologically, for me, Rob Noor.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So what I'm saying, but listen to me when I say this. Ignore everything that's happened for the past 2 minutes, okay?
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if you actively pursue Hassan or sweep for Hassan, you, like, let's say for every Hassan person you get, you are going to lose 2 to 3 moderates. 100%. All day, every day. I'm not talking about Rob Noor. I'm talking about moderates. Independents and contrarians like Talibots who maybe Tally's a bad example because she wouldn't own her fucking bullshit. But there's other people like Tally who probably did a protest vote. They wrote in Jill Stein. They wrote in a libertarian.
Guys, now is a great time again to remind you. It's doing a quick chill. 511 people watching. 97 likes on stream. Sometimes 400 or so people. Wouldn't mind please moving the cursor, thumbs up and clicking it, or pressing the thumbs up on the mobile device. That'd be hugely appreciated. If you want to take your support one step further, you can donate directly through the Stream Elements link in the pinned chat message. You can also buy a membership to the channel, gift a membership to the channel, gift a whole bunch of memberships randomly throughout the chat. Buy a super chat. Thank you for the $20, Matt N. Hugely appreciated. Very generous of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Buy a super chat, which will highlight your message and read it on TTS, or buy a super sticker, which is a YouTube image or gift that will be highlighted in chat and I'll describe it to you. You can go to discord.gg/Kuihman, twitter.com/Kuihman, or reddit.com/r/Kuihman. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
They wrote in this person, they wrote in that person. If you give them a viable alternative, they will pick the viable alternative over MAGA.
Oh.
And if you endorse terrorism and if you endorse Hassan Piker, you're fucked.
Who's a closer ally for the DNC, Nick Fuentes or Hassan Piker?
Yeah, Hassan Piker, obviously.
Okay. As between Charlie Kirk and Hassan Piker, who's a closer ally?
Charlie Kirk.
For the DNC. I mean, I can't explain this about anything other than you're trying to optics right now. You
Nope.
must be trying to do that.
No,
you think
no,
Charlie
no.
Kirk
I've
is a
already
better
answered your
ally to the DNC than Hassan Piker?
I've already answered your question 2 or 3 times.
Okay, all right.
There's politically, which is the vote. If you want to talk about the vote, obviously Hassan Piker is more useful to the DNC than Charlie Kirk. If you're talking about ideology, which I've mentioned 3 times right now,
It's
Hassan
Charlie
Piker
Kirk.
Hassan Piker wants to see the downfall of the United States. Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, thinks that he's fulfilling the promise of the United States. He's a retarded, delusional freak, but he doesn't want to see the downfall of the United States of America.
Oof. I'm going to be careful what I say next. Hang on, let me just think. Just give me a second to think.
I have to pee and leave in a minute, and I need to read a super chat as well. So
go ahead and read the super chat.
Good point. Make a good point. I'll respond to it. I'll read you the super chats, and then we can continue this a different day.
Okay. I think you have a Hassan derangement syndrome.
I don't at all. I don't. Why the fuck?
Oh my god. Pisco's unchained. Pisco is completely unchained. Finally, start calling it out. Start calling it out. Yes, they do have Hassan derangement syndrome. Yes, they are DGG baiting. Yes, they are engaging in shackled thinking. They're in the sunken place. They're on the plantation. Their entire...
Join the snark left.
So true. Thank you for the $5 on Identify Cryptid. Thank you. Their entire worldview is built around help Destiny's stream and career. Sorry, it just is. That's the worldview for several of these people. Hutch, I will say, Hutch, I don't think is specifically oriented around Destiny in that way. Connor and Erudite, 100%. Hutch, I think, has... it's like... Hutch is similar to Lonerbox in that it's more negative polarization from the outside. If you know what I mean. From the lefty types. He's engaged with them and negatively polarized himself.
Fuck. I think you have a lack of... I think you have Hassan devotion syndrome.
You think I'm a devotee to Hassan after I condemned him?
No, I just took the Trump devotion syndrome and I inverted it.
Okay, but this is
hold on. In what world should you ever cater to a human being who says that it's good to shoot missiles into civilian commercial vessels?
I'm not saying that's good. No, I'm not saying that that's good. I'm saying as between Charlie Kirk and Hassan, Charlie Kirk is incredibly illiberal. Charlie Kirk is not a liberal. Charlie Kirk is a fascist. He's part of this like Hitler Youth movement in our country.
I think he's so retarded he might just be self-deluding. Do you think Hassan
is not? And Hassan is not?
Do you think
Hassan is some brilliant
delusional?
Dude.
No, I'm asking. If you say yes,
I think
then
Hassan,
I can just be like, okay, both
I
of
think
these people
in terms of like gray matter and brain neurons, I think that Charlie Kirk is probably smarter than Hassan Piker. Do you agree?
Yeah, probably.
So, but you're like, Charlie Kirk, I believe, is genuinely a liberal. You sound unhinged.
No. I think that if it came down to a vote to abolish amendments of the United States of America, I don't think Charlie Kirk would vote to abolish amendments of the United States of America.
They're memeing about Trump term 3. You think that if Trump tried to run for a third term, he wouldn't be in favor of it? Charlie Kirk is talking about changing the 14th Amendment citizenship clause. He'll make any excuse in the book to change the Constitution to fulfill his authoritarian aims. What are you talking about?
Okay, you can put this in the thumbnail again. I concede Charlie Kirk is retarded and evil.
I didn't make the thumbnail, bro. I don't make the thumbnails.
Is that a good enough thumbnail for you?
He's illiberal. He's illiberal.
Thumbnail guy, put I concede, and then people will watch this and be like, oh my god, Pisco owned Connor in the marketplace of ideas. What a
He did, but he actually did. But he did though.
Ass, fuck this guy. This guy's so fucking stupid.
But
and then they can finally get to the segment where I say I concede, and the thing that I'm conceding is that Charlie Kirk is fucking a dipshit. Sure.
Yeah, but
you win. So
here's the question: who would you rather have as president, Charlie Kirk or Hassan Piker?
Charlie Kirk all day.
I just don't understand that. Yeah, but okay.
But it would just be like Trump.
Great. Yeah, like
well, maybe because Hassan Piker sims for all of the enemies of the United States of America. That's actually pretty understandable if you're not dumb as fuck.
So we actually,
anyways, let me read
read the super. But I just wanted, the last thing I'll say is, I think we actually disagree on who the enemy is. I think that is at the end of the day, like there's a greater enemy here, and I think
who's your enemy?
Charlie Kirk and his ilk. MAGA is my enemy. That's my main enemy.
MAGA is my enemy.
But it's
my
not your main
enemy is also no. I probably hold. This is probably the sincere difference between us. My enemy is also the far left and half of progressivism. Simultaneously, I have two enemies.
Are they equal? Who's your greater enemy? Well, I think you already said it. Your greater enemy are those
lefties. Here's the thing, though, is this kind of it almost does make sense for Connor to be like this, because Connor is just like he does call himself a conservative. You know, he doesn't really hold many conservative positions. But he does call himself a conservative. If you were to assume that Connor is a right winger, this makes sense. But it doesn't make sense for Hutch. It doesn't make sense for Lonerbox. It doesn't make sense for fucking Destiny. Unless he's literally just angling to be right wing. I mean, who knows at this point. It doesn't make sense for any of these people who claim to be left-leaning libs, sock dems. This strain of people. Does not make any sense.
By the way, progressivism was a greater cultural enemy over the past decade. MAGA is clearly the bigger the bigger political threat right now.
Makes sense for Loner because he sold his batty.
But just because, like, Henry Kissinger, he says, like, it's a shame that both can't lose. I'm fighting for a center-left, center-right coalition because I want MAGA to lose and I want the far left to lose.
Gun to head, you'll pick the fascists over the commie.
Yep. I unironically, like in Chile, I will unironically pick Bukele and what's the other guy? Chile. He's the dictator. He's the guy who threw people out of airplanes. What was his name?
You're talking about Pinochet.
Pinochet. I would pick Pinochet and Bukele over Maduro.
And Allende.
Probably. All right. Anyways, let me read you some super
chat. Yeah, read them.
Melody says $5. Fight Pisco regarding the Hutch stuff. Got it. Truzel says, here's a 5 and a crisp high five to follow if you tell Pisco that he looks like a rejected VeggieTales character. All right, you look like a rejected VeggieTales character. $5 for the big guy, somebody says. Sacred Town says, pass this on to Pisco. You asked Hutch, do you just want me to go harder on the Vanguard when we disagree? This point is why you should, so you don't mix the message. Ask Pisco.
Wait, can I respond to that one?
Voted for sorry, for that. Yeah. For that one, that was barely in English for me. Did you understand that one?
Yeah, I think it's basically. I think it's what people are actually asking for is for more virtue signaling, right? Well, you say that we should give a belly rub, and we should say Hassan bad, Hassan bad, Hassan bad, Hassan bad, Vanguard bad. Like I think that's what people actually want.
Ironically, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, I hate it. I hate it. I'm glad Colin's being honest. I'm glad that guy on Pisco's stream last night was being honest. But holy fuck, we are literally at a point where you are just begging, Pisco, please virtue signal, Pisco. Pisco, I need you to virtue signal Hassan bad more. Pisco. Fuck me. Make it stop. Make it stop.
Says Hassan voted for Kamala. Does that make him better than Tally? Yeah.
We talked about that.
So Hassan voted. I'm actually going to specify the question because I answered it for you 3 or 4 times. Tally, in my opinion, is a contrarian liberal who did a protest vote because the left went too far. Hassan Piker is a fucking tanky. So on an ideological basis, which one of them do you view more as your ideological ally? And on an electoral basis, I already know your answer, but which one is your ally in reference to electoralism?
Sorry, ideology, right? Your question. So electorally, I would
ideology.
Yeah.
If you were stranded on a coconut island, would you rather have Hassan Piker or Talibots?
Well, I don't know in terms of like fun. Like I don't know who's like in terms of who's like a.
They will establish the governmental system. You're stranded with 1,000 people and you have to establish a new government. Talibots is there to design the new government, or Hassan Piker is there to design the new government. Who are you picking?
Based on stated positions, based on certain stated positions, Talibots. But I have to question the judgment of someone who would vote for Trump, and so that would you know, factor heavily in terms of the reality of it. Like, given the choice between it, someone who is, in my opinion, so irrational as to vote for Trump based on vibes, maybe I wouldn't trust that person to establish the government. I don't think Hassan is that delusional.
No, I agree. I just would say that a tanky or a tanky apologist is worse. So I appreciate you not giving me a meme answer, because I probably would have freaked the fuck out. Now, that being said, I am 45 minutes over time.
Oh, sorry
so
about that,
I need to run.
Yeah.
But, dude, if you want to do this weekly or whatever. I
love these conversations. We should schedule some time. I think that'll be fun.
Dude, I'm live 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Monday through Friday on either Valor Media Network or my home channel Counterpoint. So if Pisco isn't live, come hang out. And then if once a week you want to get together,
we'll talk
and fight about the...
Wow.
I think it'll be fun. I think if we pick a day, I can make that part of like the regular stream hours, and we can do it.
Okay.
We can do his
Sounds
take
good.
with Connor.
Did you just call-ins? We might do that on Kick. Might do that on Kick.